Gotham or Red Hood issue 2, which at the time you read issue 1 of this when it was brand new and the event was ongoing that it was tying into. And now it is but a distant memory.
Do you want the full title for the issue? Because it's not just that.
Oh, go on.
Batman / Catwoman, the Gotham War, Red Hood, issue 2.
Ah, dear. All right. Well, go on.
This issue was horrific. And it's so much worse than the first issue in a way that actually annoys me. Because at least the first issue, so from where I remember, the first issue took place right after Batman locked Jason up. Right? If you cast your minds back to Gotham War, I know you don't want to, but you're going to have to. Batman, Bruce locked Jason up because he couldn't be trusted right now, so he threw him in the basement. First issue was right then. The second issue doesn't follow straight on. It starts before that. It starts like days before, doing other stuff of like, oh hey, this is what was going on before, and I felt like the first issue already covered all this stuff pretty much of like, hey, this is what happened before. The second issue we're going to follow afterwards was kind of how it was promised, but it's not. It's like just over half is still before, and and it's him going around doing stuff for Catwoman, and then he meets up with Ravager, and obviously they've got a relationship going on in the minute, and he's like, yeah, I'll meet you in 48 hours in the usual spot. I just got to go do some shit first. And then there's like a countdown of him, going through the stuff, and it's like 48 hours, 49 hours, 50 hours. And it's at this point that he's locked up by Batman. And then you have Ravager calling around being like, hey, has anyone seen him? And I'm like, we'll ask Catwoman. We'll get in touch. Don't worry about it. He's pretty fine. And yeah. And then it's just him fighting it out with Joker and like dealing with the Scarecrow toxin stuff. Like, so it's Jason versus Scarecrow and Jason versus Joker, like at the same time. And it's just a mess. And the worst part is, this is a 2-issue mini that was tying in, right? This ends with to be continued in Batman / Catwoman, the Gotham War, Scorched Earth, and concluded in The Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing, issue 12.
So I'm as you were describing this, I was like, did I read this? Because I was reading some of the...
You did not.
No, I skipped. So. Yeah.
You made the right choice.
I think my favorite thing about that is the first one is not so bad. It's like, okay, it's a tie into a crossover that you're... Presumably if you're reading this, you're reading the crossover, so fine, whatever. Like, this will wrap up in that. But then, and to be concluded in this other ongoing series that we're not even talking about so far.
Like, issue 12 of an ongoing Joker book that I have not read any of. What?
Let me guess. Jason's gonna have to confront his trauma by talking to the Joker.
Yeah, no, it does end with them all in a burning building, and yeah, like Jason's like trapped under a beam, and Joker's like jumping out the window. It's like, don't worry, my boy, we'll see each other soon, I promise. That's the last bit of dialogue in the book. And then it's to be continued and to be concluded. Not one or the other, but both.
Whoa.
Yeah, like this was... I will say the art is solid because it is... Pete, would you do your pronunciation again from earlier?
Oh, it's... what's his face here? Let me just find it on my list. Nikola Semesha.
Yeah, that one. Art's great. He's actually really solid.
If you can get it, Connor, go back and read. I forget who wrote it, but it was the Zatanna Batman story that Shamesha did the art for. So if you like the art there, you would like that Zatanna.
Did I read that? Because I read some of his stuff.
It was in Urban Legends.
Or maybe I didn't. Did he do the Azrael stuff at one point, Shamesha, as well?
I think so.
Because he's been knocking around the extended Batverse for a little while now, and I'm enjoying every time he pops up. His stuff's really solid.
Yeah, you definitely, because it's a pretty decent Batman Zatanna story. Because probably an issue or two too long, but it went all 6.
I'll check it out because it'll all be on DC Universe.
It should be, yeah. So check for that one.
I'll tell you that. But for the record, this was written by Rosenberg, which is, I assume, why there's stuff tying in with the Joker book. But like, the first issue had no hint. Like, there was stuff with Joker, like, oh, yeah, because obviously the Joker is still a big deal for Jason, right? That's part of his trauma. That made sense to have him not even be there, but to have those effects, that history, be part of his psychology. That's fine. But then to just straight up go, oh yeah, by the way, you need to read this Joker book. Rosenberg, what the hell are you doing? No, stop it. This is it's frustrating enough that this has no resolution whatsoever, and it's its own little 2-issue tie-in. But at the very worst, I could argue that was an editorial demand. Like, hey, you need to go and make them read the last bit of the crossover. If for some reason someone really liked Jason and they came and read this, but they were not reading any of the Gotham War stuff, maybe they'll go and check it out now.
Where would you put your fandom of Jason?
What do you mean?
Do you tolerate the character at this point? Because you've read more Jason Todd than anybody I know.
Okay, I will say he is significantly better when he's not written by Lobdell.
Okay,
which may not be that shocking a statement, really.
That's like every other character ever created.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh God, remember Starfire?
You know what, though,
Yeah.
and not to defend the writer who must not be named, the second arc in that is significantly better than the first. So
Better does not mean good, but yes.
No, but when she becomes the captain of the Space Pirates and all that stuff, it's a lot better.
I wouldn't even say like. It's weird. I don't hate Jason, a character, as much as I did when I was having to read him as part of that stuff.
Yeah.
But also, I have like leftover trauma of like I see him and I'm like, oh, it's that. Yeah. And that colors everything. Even when it's like a better take, even when it's a better written thing, part of me is still like, yeah, but it's Jason.
Yeah. At this point, I've tolerated Jason more than I haven't at a certain point. But I still, when he shows up, I still get the cringe, like, and it's never earned. Like, there's nothing that any writer's still doing. Like,
I've read enough of Jason as Robin originally. I'm not really a huge fan there.
Yeah.
I've read enough Red Hood, him as Red Hood, both sides of that run at this point. That I'm like, yeah, okay, I don't really like him as Red Hood either. I liked him well enough in Under the Red Hood.
Yeah.
And I like him more. I kind of like him as being Gotham's Punisher. But they're not willing to lean into that. And they're just constantly trying to find something new to do with him. So it's hard to say I like him or dislike him anymore because he doesn't really have a defined character at this point.
No,
he's just something different every time I read him.
He's just Bat family member that's rough around the edges. It's kind of without the develop. It's like kind of where Cassandra Cain was before she's actually got character development.
I think if you're going to make him the Punisher of DC, I think you have to send him somewhere other than Gotham, because the thing they keep running into is that Batman's there and Batman will stop him, because of course he will. So they have to send him off somewhere else in the world.
That's the problem. And there was a point where they were like, oh, he'll be Punisher, but he won't do it in Gotham. But then they were adamant that they still wanted him tying in whenever they did a Gotham tie-over. He's part of the Bat family. He has to be there. And it never makes any sense with his relationship with Bruce to have any sort of relationship if he's going to be like this.
Yeah.
So then, now they've pulled back on it, and he's kind of got rid of the gun. Like, there was a point where he did the rubber bullets. But now he's not even really doing guns. He's just doing the crowbar thing.
Yeah. Well, that's why I liked when Rosenberg did write him in Urban Legends in that first, where he's now responsible for this drug-addicted mom's kid. Right?
That was solid, yeah.
Yeah, so I like there where he's kind of having to play in the shadows and go off of there. But yeah, I don't need him as the Punisher. I feel like they do need to develop a role for him if they're going to keep him in the Bat family.
It's frustrating because I think the Punisher angle is probably the most suited and most interesting role for him, but it's also the one that guarantees he's excluded from any future Bat family events.
Yeah.
And they don't want that because for some reason Red Hood has a fan base and they want to churn out those tie-ins like this to guarantee chumps will buy it.
Like you.
And hey, I did
Yeah.
not buy this issue. Thank you, DC Universe. Just to wrap up on this issue, because I can see P getting frustrated. It's hard to get. It's a non-existent issue because half of it is stuff that feels like it was superfluous by the time we started this issue because it should be wrapping up, and then the back half starts to do it and then doesn't wrap up because it wants you to read it wants to go and tie into 2 other different things instead. So it doesn't even have an ending. It literally ends with him in a burning building. There is no conclusion. There's nothing satisfying. This is a waste of a 2-issue tie-in. Like even by DC's tie-in standards, this is bad. And not just like bad because it's Red Hood. Not that it's bad because it's badly written, bad characterization, bad art. Most of those things are fine. Bad because it's a waste of your time, a waste of your money, and all it exists for is to try and make you buy the issues that it wants to make you buy at the end. That is it. That's the only reason it exists. So I'm going to give it 2 ratings. One is its objective quality, which is like a 6. And one is how I actually felt after reading it, which was like a 3. Because it made me feel angry getting to the end of a 2-issue thing and being like that.